All right, now in this lesson, I want to show you the real workflow for fixing your AI outputs, because this is where most people get frustrated. They generate a website, it looks off, something feels wrong, and they assume that the AI failed. Now, that is not the right way to think about it. The first output is usually not the final output. It is very rare for that to happen. It is the draft. It is the starting point. So today, I'm going to show you how to take something imperfect and systematically refine it until it feels like something premium. The first mistake people make is they expect perfection immediately. They think one prompt should generate the final website. And that is not how this works. AI is iterative, not one shot. It gives you material and then you shape it. So if your first output looks wrong, that is normal, completely fine. That is not failure. That is part of the process. Before I type anything, I want to inspect the page, right? I'm not prompting yet. I am looking. I am diagnosing. And this is one of the most important habits that you need to build. Do not rush into another prompt just because something feels ugly. First, figure out exactly what is wrong. So this is the rule. Diagnose before prompting. If you cannot clearly explain what is wrong, then you usually cannot clearly fix it. I'm looking at this section, right? And I'm asking a few questions. For example, is the spacing inconsistent? Is the hierarchy weak? Does the alignment feel off? Do the buttons feel disconnected? Does this section feel cluttered? Does it feel cheap? That is the real work, not typing faster, seeing more clearly. So in the meantime, I'm going to tell AI, build me out a gym landing page, make it cool and award-winning styled. We're gonna take a second, let AI generate, and we'll come right back. Awesome. So now that AI has been generated this website for us, we're going to diagnose a certain section properly, okay? So let's start with the who we are part. The heading here doesn't stand out enough. The spacing between the heading and the paragraph feels awkward. The buttons slightly detached from the text down here, whatever's going on there. There's no call to action. The whole section lacks a sense of strong structure. And the layout feels typical, templated, loose. It doesn't make any sense. Now that I know what I'm fixing, I'm going to type into AI. Watch. Fix this section, right? This is the kind of prompt people write when they are annoyed, right? And it is absolutely weak because it tells the AI almost nothing useful. Fix what? The spacing, typography, alignment, hierarchy, motion. The AI has to guess. And when the AI has to guess, you lose control. What we're gonna do is the spacing is inconsistent between the heading, paragraph, and there's no CTA. Hierarchy is weak, and the headline does not stand out enough. The layout feels slightly cluttered, templated, and unbalanced. Improve by creating a more consistent spacing rhythm, allowing for unique layout, optimal white space, different sizing. We're going for an artsy, award-winning layout and appearance. Keep it minimal, balanced, and premium. Keep the same content and overall same idea. Do not redo the content just the way it looks. So now this is better. I'm telling it what the problems are. I'm telling it how to improve them. And I'm also controlling the scope. I'm saying keep the same content, keep the same style direction. Do not redesign the whole section. And that matters. Because if you do not control the scope, the AI starts changing things that you never asked it to change. Now we're gonna wait a second. Let's see what it puts out and we'll be right back. Great. Now look at the difference. The spacing is more deliberate. The hierarchy is clearer. The section feels more composed. And notice this did not become premium because of one magical prompt. It improved because the direction improved. Notice the different sizes here. Notice the parallax. Notice the different spacing and the white space behind here. Right? That's the mindset shift. This is just a very basic example, but it goes much deeper than that. So now let's talk about why outputs go wrong in the first place. Usually it is one of the few reasons. The prompt was too vague. The request tried to fix too many things at once. The AI was never told what mattered the most. The section had a weak foundation from the start. So when something looks wrong, do not just think the AI messed up, okay? You gotta ask, what kind of mistake is this? What do I want this to look like? What exactly should I tell it in order to get to that step? There are 4 main categories that I want you to watch out for and write these down. Layout problems, animation problems, interaction problems, and visual polish problems. If you can classify the problem, you can fix it much, much faster. Layout problems are things like inconsistent spacing, weak hierarchy, bad alignment, poor structure, and this is where a section technically exists, but it does not feel composed. It does not feel expensive. It feels random. So the before was the spacing was loose, the hierarchy was weak, the section seemed flat, everything was all similar sizing and carding. And here is the improved version after 1 prompt. Now the headline has more authority. Look at that. The spacing feels intentional. And this is exactly what I want you to understand. Premium usually starts with the structure, not decoration. So now let's move into animation. This is where AI often overdoes things. It adds too much motion, too much speed, too many effects. And beginners think more animation means higher quality. No, it's usually the opposite. When motion is too aggressive and consistent in the exact same motion throughout the entire page, it starts to feel cheap. So what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to copy this section so AI knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to paste it in there. Refine the motion in this section. The current issues are animations feel too frequent and distracting. Transitions are slightly too fast. Motion competes with the content instead of supporting it. The overall result feels more flashy than premium. Fix it by reducing unnecessary motion, slowing transitions, keeping only subtle, purposeful animations, making the movement feel smoother, calmer, and more controlled. Do not remove all animation. Keep it elegant and restrained. We're aiming for an award-winning style. So, notice the wording. Too frequent, too fast, too flashy, and then calmer, controlled, restrained. You are describing the feeling of the problem. You need to be very specific, as if you're speaking to another human and getting them to understand the problem on your level. And the feeling of the solution, right? That is how you direct motion properly. Let's see what AI cooks up, and we'll circle back. Now, let's start from the top. I'll refresh the page. Look at this beautiful animation that it created. Not perfect, but it's there. So, who we are, more than a gym, right? Now it feels better, less desperate, less noisy, more controlled. And that word controlled is one of the best words that you can use when thinking about premium interfaces, right? Look at it all transition in. Look at this. Staggered this section a little bit. Everything smoothly fades in. Transitions are beautiful. Look at this button, right? And I especially like how it did half on the left side. That's actually a very unique layout. So it understood some of the prompt, and that's perfect. Now we move into interaction. This is where a lot of AI websites actually fall apart. They look good in a screenshot, but once you click them, they feel awkward. The hover feels abrupt, the menu feels clumsy, everything looks carded, template appearance, little ugly AI icons. The button feedback feels cheap, or something just does not work, right? That is an interaction problem. The visual design here is okay, right? It's not terrible, the nav bar, but the behavior is not, right? The button response, Nothing. Feels abrupt, okay? Nothing happens. The transition timing is awkward, and the whole interaction feels slightly unpolished. This is why screenshots can feel misleading. A website has to behave well, not just look good. I'm gonna get started by typing refine the navbar interaction behavior. That's what this is called up here, navigation bar, navbar. Refine the navbar interaction behavior for this component. The current issues are hover feedback feels abrupt, transition timing feels awkward, interaction states are inconsistent. The component does not feel smooth or polished. Improve this by making hover and focus transition smoother, keeping interaction timing consistent, ensuring the feedback feels subtle and premium, preserving responsiveness and usability. Do not redesign the component visually. Focus on behavior and feel, right? So this is important. I'm telling it not to redesign. I'm asking for better behavior. That separation there matters because if you're not specific, AI can incorporate that in a different way. If you want better interactions, say that, right? Otherwise, the AI may start changing the visuals when the real issue is actually just usability. Now that we have that, let's circle back when AI is done. Awesome. Now, I'm going to refresh the page here and see what happens. See the navbar fade in? Everything's a little bit smoother, a little bit of an interaction on the button, but nothing crazy. It could have done better, but it is better. The feedback is cleaner. The response feels more intentional, right? So when I click on this, it does actually do something, which is pretty cool. It looks okay. And that's the difference between this looks okay and this feels premium. Now, the last category is visual polish. This is where a page technically works, but still feels cheap. Maybe the typography is weak. Maybe the spacing feels messy. Maybe there's too much clutter. Maybe the balance is off. This is not a broken website problem. It is a taste and refinement problem. Now, what I'm going to do is tell AI, polish the hero section visually. And this is the hero section at the top of the page. This thing right here, okay? Improve spacing, consistency, typography, hierarchy, alignment, precision, and visual balance. Overall, aiming for a premium, unique, non-templated feel. Reduce any unnecessary clutter and make it feel cleaner, calmer, and more intentional. Keep the style modern, unique, artsy, award-winning, and minimal. Do not make any dramatic style changes. Enter. Now, again, I'm narrowing the task, right? I'm not asking it to reinvent the page, right? And keep in mind, everything that I've showed you throughout this lesson, for sure, I agree with you. It's not outputting award-winning style, right? That's not the point. Over time, as you output these prompts, you're going to see that you're going to need to iterate more than once on a specific section. This is not a copy and paste idea. You're going to need to go in there, tweak and adjust, tweak and adjust, tweak and adjust. For now, listen to what I'm saying and explaining about the process behind it, the prompts I'm giving it, and the terminology and specifics that I'm locking into. Notice how I said I'm asking it to polish, cleaner, calmer, more intentional. That is refinement language. This is one of the most important comparisons in the whole lesson. This weak prompt is vague. The strong prompt tells the AI what is wrong, what to improve, and what result you want. And that is why it performs better. Now I want to give you the system I actually want you to follow. Structure, then motion, then interaction, then polish, then performance, not all at once. in layers. Write all those down in order. If you try to fix everything in one giant prompt, you create chaos. You might improve spacing, but you're going to break the motion. You might improve visuals, but accidentally ruin the interaction. You might redesign the whole section when all you needed was better hierarchy. So the rule is simple, one layer at a time. Let's talk about the model choice. So for example, we have a model selection menu down here. You're going to use Composer for basic copy updates, text, images, replacing. No real logic and performance behind it. Use Sonnet for debugging. Use Sonnet for smaller improvements, spacing, hierarchy, hover states, motion adjustments. Use Opus when the section needs deeper thinking, when the concept is wrong, when the structure is weak, when you need a stronger redesign direction, 3D render integrations, overall motion and aesthetic. So the simple rule is Composer for basic text rewrites, Sonnet for refinement, Opus for rethinking. Now let's talk about Composer. A lot of people break their projects here because they get impatient. They stack too many big changes together, and then the build becomes unstable. The better workflow is this. One controlled prompt. Review the result. Apply the change. Check the review. Then continue. That is how you keep control. Now let me go over that one more time, okay? One controlled prompt. Review the result. Apply the change. Check the preview. Then continue. Write those down in order as well. Treat Composer like a collaborator you supervise, not a magician you dump problems onto. Small scope, clear instruction, check result, continue. That is how you iterate without breaking everything. This is another important skill, knowing when to stop refining and just restart the section, okay? If the structure is mostly solid, refine it. If the concept itself is fundamentally weak and completely outside of the vision that you're aiming for, restart it. If you already have done multiple rounds and it still feels wrong at the foundation, restart it. Do not get emotionally attached to a bad section. For example, rethink this section from scratch while keeping the same content. The current version is not even close to award-winning style. Completely redesign it. Keep in mind a unique, artsy, minimal aesthetic. Now, what it's going to do is this prompt is different. I'm not saying fix it. I'm saying rethink from scratch. That tells the AI this is no longer a small repair. This is a rebuild. I want to end with this mindset piece because this is where a lot of people quit too early. If your AI output looks bad at first, that is completely normal. If a section breaks, that is normal. If you need multiple rounds, that is normal. The people who get premium results are not the people who got lucky on the first prompt. They are the people who know how to direct revisions. That is the real skill. So the mindset shift I want from this lesson is simple. Not, I hope the AI gets it right, but I know how to guide the AI until it gets it right. That right there is what separates passive users from actual operators. So here's the workflow. Diagnose first, prompt clearly, fix one layer at a time, review every change, use Sonnet for refinement, use Opus for rethinking, and know when to restart instead of forcing a bad section to survive. That is how you take AI outputs and push them into premium territory. That's all for today. I'll see you on the next one.